Kelly Baker-Jamieson is the founder of Edible Blooms, a small business with a staff of 60. She's got no fancy head office, spends plenty of time with her kids, sells around 1,000 products per day, and she's 20% up on last year. You want some marketing gold, team? This is Marketing Gold.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reed.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reed, but you, so much more importantly, you're a motivated business owner and you are ready to crank out some great marketing. Marketing that will grow that business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. That's exactly what we do around here. If you're new, welcome. If you're old, welcome back. We got a big show for you today. Edible Blooms founder Kelly Baker-Jamieson joins us. She, as I said at the top of the show, she shares some marketing GOLD. My old mate Luke helps a listener decide between building their personal versus business page on Facebook. I announce, big news here, an outsourcing tour that I'm going to be taking to the Philippines this June. Small amount of people, dates are set. More on that after the interview. And I've got a beautifully simple motivational marketing quote from past guest and friend of this show, Rand Fishkin of Moz. Hey, told you, big show. Brought to you by the very good folk at Net Registry, who help you get your online marketing sorted. So if you're not getting traction with getting your business found online, or maybe you want to take it to the next level, head over to netregistry.com.au/Timbo for some very exclusive listener packages. And we're also made possible today by the good folk at Audible, who have got over 180,000 audiobook titles ready for immediate download. You can grab a free one over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. Hey team, what did I tell you? As per usual, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reed, that's reid.com.au.
And by stuck right in, I mean that. Let's get straight into today's guest, because I tell you what, there are so many marketing learnings coming from my fireside chat with Kelly. She is the founder of Edible Blooms. It's an online business that sends edible floral arrangements made from chocolates and fruit to people that you love or want to show gratitude towards, or, you know, whatever. It's a wonderful, wonderful business. Kelly, as I said at the top of the show, she sells 1,000 items a day in peak season. She's got 60 staff. She's growing at 20% a year and nailing it. And she is so generous in the marketing knowledge that she shares. Now, I have deferred to friend of this show again, Paul Greenberg. He heads up National Online Retailers Association. He is also a past guest, and I asked Paul to give us some insights into Kelly. Here's what he had to say.
And I think in Kelly we see the very best of female entrepreneurship. I think Kelly has a legal background, done a whole corporate law stint, and then decided to run entrepreneurship as the next part of her career. But what I love about Kelly is she lives in a beautiful place in Adelaide. I think might even be a little bit outside of Adelaide on a farm. But she runs a lovely nationwide business, showing that the tyranny of distance can be overcome, and that lifestyles can be incorporated into businesses. I'm a big fan of Edible Blooms. I think it's a brilliant business. We use Edible Blooms for all our thank you gifts, and I go on the record as saying if you want me to tell you the best ROI in marketing today, it wouldn't be Google, but it certainly would be an Edible Blooms hamper. For $40 or $50, the return on investment is immeasurable. So So I'm a big fan of the work that they do. She runs a great culture. She's humble. She's passionate. She gives her team a lot of autonomy, but yet she's obviously very focused on her brand position and the consistency of the experience. I'm just a big fan of what she's doing, and I think that you'll have a great chat with her.
Hey, thanks, Paul. Now, team, a little birdie also told me Kelly keeps a notebook next to her bed. So I started off by asking her if she finds it hard to switch off.
Look, I do, and I think that's actually when you get those gold nuggets. It's when you're not necessarily 100% switched on to work. So in the shower, in the middle of the night, that's when those sort of left field ideas often spring to my mind. So I like to write them down. And I have to be honest, not all of them when I wake up in the morning are great ideas, but every now and then I get a couple, and they're pretty interesting to follow through.
Was edible blooms one of those ideas that came to you in the middle of the night?
Good question. Look, I've always absolutely loved sending gifts, and I used to get frustrated early on because on the internet I'd see fresh flowers and I'd send them to a friend interstate, and when I saw a picture of what they looked like, they looked nothing like what I'd ordered online.
Right.
So edible blooms really, I guess, was almost solving a problem for me, but in a very creative way. So I guess the initial idea resonated really quickly, but yeah, those middle of the night ideas were certainly things about how I could get to my customers and how I could, I guess, start my business as cost effectively as I could, because that was pretty important when I was in my late 20s and didn't have a lot of capital behind me to get the idea up and running.
Am I right in saying you were a lawyer before you started Edible Blooms?
No, I'm not a lawyer. I worked for a big legal firm, actually. I was in marketing and business development, so I've always been in marketing roles, but I worked for a top-tier law firm, actually winning business for top-listed companies for them, so bid writing I did that for many years before I started my business. So it was a very big change when I moved from professional services into online retail. And look, I honestly love.
What was the biggest part of that change for you?
Do you know, I remember very clearly the very first week that I opened the doors of Edible Blooms, and we actually had orders on the first day we opened, which was amazing.
Wow.
But
hang on. Yeah, it is amazing. How?
Actually, back then it was through email. So the first thing I did before I opened the doors was an email to 50 people, which, I mean, our email database is about 130,000 now, but we started with just a small list, and I emailed people that I'd met. I'd only been living in Brisbane for 6 months, so there were people that were in Brisbane that I'd met, and I told them all about this new business that I was opening the doors tomorrow, and I said, everything's going to be half price for the first week. Please share with your friends and family.
Yeah. And
people did, and the first paying customer was someone I didn't know. I thought I was going to get sympathy orders in the first week from people I knew, but I actually had a paying customer, and that's when I knew that I was onto something really exciting. And he was sending a gift to his wife just because she worked at Brisbane TAFE, and I delivered that personally myself. I was so excited to be delivering an order for a customer.
Do you still hold that feeling?
Yeah, it was really exciting, actually. I was, it was kind of surreal, though, in many ways, because I thought I was just going to be doing PR gifts and, as I said, sympathy gifts that first week. So to have paying customers from day one, and we actually did about $1,000 in orders that first week. So we did get started pretty well, but there were lots of ups and downs on the way, and
No doubt.
You know, you'd have a day where you'd have a lot of orders and you think, yes, this is amazing, I'm really onto something, and then the next day you'd hardly have any. And for someone who'd never worked in retail before, I actually decided in that first year of business that retail was ruled by the lunar cycle, because I could not work out any pattern to the way that my orders were sort of up and down every day. But what I did realise as I grew the business is that it became all about building a big customer base. And so I really focused in those next few years of building that email list, because that actually gives us a very consistent order flow every day now, is having a really big and loyal customer base.
Let's talk about that. I was going to kind of save the marketing discussion till later on, but it's so important, this whole notion of building a list. And I think clearly for a business like yours that is an online business, but, whether you're a vet or a plumber, still the idea of, because even more so, because people are going to come to your website once and probably never come back because they've checked you out. But wouldn't it be good to grab some contact details like an email address to have that ongoing conversation? Is there a pro tip that you can share with us that enables you to capture that email address easily?
Yeah, it's interesting. As a business, an online business, we've been really focusing on conversion to sale for visitors on the website versus capturing data, but it depends on the type of business you have. And to be honest, I think we need to be better at capturing that data. Mm-hmm. So I think when I've seen that work really well for companies, it's like you have to give someone something or a reason to do that initial sign up, whether it's some free information, a coupon code that they can use for their first purchase. You definitely want that person, when they land on your website, to keep in contact with you and come back again. So there's lots of other little tricks that we use as well, a lot of remarketing. So you can actually, someone that's visited your website, you can follow them around on their social media pages and things like that, which sounds slightly stalkerish, but it's the way that the world is moving.
See, people go, that's stalkerish. I reckon it's unreal because here's the thing. We're going to get hit with ads anyway, right? Wherever we go, there will be ads. That's life, unless you pull in these ad blockers. So on the basis that we're going to get hit by ads, wouldn't it be great to be hit by an ad from a business that you've actually expressed interest in?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think it's really interesting when you do see that remarketing and you're aware of it happening and you look at the type of ads that are being served up to you and you go, wow, they kind of know me, and it's a machine that knows you. So it's really interesting, but it's certainly the way things are going. And I think in many ways, like you said, it does actually serve the purpose of the consumer because you're seeing things that are of interest to you. So, and that's better than just seeing, random things that are not. So, Just
a question. I'm looking at the homepage of Edible Blooms right now, and the lead capture isn't obvious to me. Is that because you've gone, well, we've got 130,000 emails, that's enough, or am I missing something?
No, it's something that we used to have it up on our homepage. We do a lot of split testing, which is when you test different things on the website. And for us, we try and, I guess because we're a convenience purchase, people will use Edible Blooms when they've got a last-minute gift requirement and they need to get it there really quickly, or they've got something really special they want to plan forward for. So we tend to find we have a fairly high engagement of visitors to purchase on our website. So we have actually designed our landing page to make it easy for our customers to choose something and buy quickly and conveniently.
Have you ever?
So,
Goodness me.
And we obviously, when someone purchases, we capture their details. So our database is actually largely made up of customers that have actually purchased from Edible Blooms.
Yep.
And we've done some other marketing exercises that have built that database over the years. But the customers that we find are ongoing and people that come back time and time again are people who've ordered before. And 60% of our customers are actually repeat or referred customers. So we've got a very sticky and a very strong word of mouth following.
You have, for some reason, and I'll ask this now, you are a darling of the media, maybe you personally, and Edible Blooms. What is it? How have you? What I mean by that is that Edible Blooms has come across my screen on numerous occasions. This show now has a strategic partnership with the National Online Retailers Association, so obviously you come across even more often. But what have you done? It's an interesting product. What else is it? Have you got an active publicist behind the scenes who's always working to get you coverage?
Good question. In the early days, we had a PR firm in the very first stage of Edible Blooms to generate the media leads. But to be honest, we haven't had any PR outbound for quite some time now. For specific projects we have, but we... I think it's very flattering that you said that about us because I've probably thought that our media profile's been probably a bit lower of late. I've had children and I've probably had a lower profile in the media for the last few years. And by choice, is not a place I feel uber confident. And I don't think there's not very people who do feel really confident in the eye of the media. And but I certainly, in the early days when I was building the business on a shoestring, the media was definitely my friend, because we bet well above our weight in the media coverage that we had. You know, within the first few years of business, I was on the cover of quite a few magazines and things like that, which was amazing, and certainly helped build our brand with our target audience. So I guess the way I've done that is always being available to the media. So when you have someone from the media that wants to contact you, you've got to make yourself available.
Good on you.
When they want to speak to you. So that if that means cancelling a meeting or speaking while you're doing another task, you do it. And
I interviewed Michelle Bridges while she was washing the dishes.
Yeah. Well, there's a good example of the media darling, actually. I think Michelle Bridges
totally.
is pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, she's a machine. And I think, again, she has that attitude. I mean, I think it is about attitude, you know, saying yes and taking the opportunities when they're there, particularly as a small business, when those opportunities aren't necessarily going to come across the table as often, I think is smart thinking.
Yeah, you have to be available. And the other thing that we did is we would always say thank you for a media mention. So the way I built relationships with media in the early days was sending them an edible bloom, which is kind of perfect when I own a gift business, but every business can do something. If they don't have something they can send to say thank you, well, obviously I'll give edible blooms a plug. It's a great thing to send the media. I know they like it. But saying
just
thank
on that,
you because...
Kel, PO Box 989 Mount Eliza 3930. The luxury Moe bloom will be fine.
But it's true, because I think if people show their appreciation for coverage, you know, journalists are really busy people. They're really time poor. Their resources are stretched a lot these days. And so saying thank you for media mentions actually goes quite a long way. And I still keep in contact with journalists that did coverage for us in the very early days of Edible Blooms.
Wow.
And that's a nice relationship to have. So I think it's just good old-fashioned manners in many ways.
I totally agree. I did an interview with a friend of this show, Andrew Griffiths, who's a popular small business author, and the whole episode was on gratitude, because we sort of agreed that it's not necessarily shown enough, yet it's an incredibly simple thing to show.
Yeah.
And I just think we forget, you know, we're busy. And you're in the business of, well, you could argue one of the things you're in the business of is showing gratitude.
Exactly.
So it's kind of perfect, isn't it? You make the world a better place.
Yeah, do you know we do? And actually that leads back to your question before about when I left the legal circles.
Yeah, good on you. Hey, full circle. I was looking for that. Yeah,
and one of the things I noticed in that very first week of starting Edible Blooms, because in a law firm, it's very corporate. You're solving a lot of quite complex problems for clients. And so clients weren't always that happy when they had to engage a lawyer. It was usually when something had gone astray that they were making contact. So they were not in a happy frame of mind. And I remember when the phones first started ringing in that first week that we opened Edible Blooms, and I was literally doing everything. I was answering the phones, making bouquets, delivering everything. And I remember picking up the phone and customers started telling me, oh, it's my nan's birthday today and she's turning 80 and, oh, she's such a darling. And so you get this really positive feel because we are involved in those lovely moments in people's lives.
Yep.
And so we are very blessed in many ways in that the essence of what we do is a really positive, rewarding thing.
Big time.
So it makes our workplace a nice place to be, and it makes what we do every day very pleasant.
Hey listeners, I'm chatting with Edible Blooms founder Kelly Baker-Jamieson. Before she takes us inside this amazing marketing machine that is Edible Blooms, here's a word from a couple of sponsors that want to help grow that beautiful business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. Support for this show comes from Net Registry, a one-stop shop for getting your online marketing sorted. Verity Ma, their Chief Marketing Officer, recently told me this story of a very happy mechanic.
So one of my favourite stories of customers that I heard was a salesperson was talking to a mechanic, and he was talking about what sort of email he would like to have and what kind of hosting, whether he wants cloud or cPanel hosting. And the mechanic just said, look, I don't care, build my website. here's my phone number, make my phone ring and send me the bill. And that was the last we heard of him. He didn't provide us content. He didn't provide us any details about his business. We had his contact details. We wrote all the content and we just got his phone ringing and sent him the bill.
Net Registry, where happy mechanics go to grow their business online. Visit netregistry.com.au or give them a buzz on 1300 638 734 and tell them Timbo sent you. This episode is also made possible by Audible, who is offering you a free audiobook of your choice right now. Head over to audibletrial.com/SBBM and choose a free audiobook of your choice from 180,000 titles. Yeah, 180,000. I'm listening to At the Edge of Uncertainty, 11 discoveries taking science by surprise. It's quite interesting, pretty heavy, but interesting. Go to audibletrial.com/SBBM and get started today. And now back to Kelly. Now, Kelly, how does Edible Blooms work? I place an order. First of all, go back a step. How do you define an edible bloom?
Well, an edible blooms is quite simply a floral experience you can eat. So we are just like a florist, but our bouquets are made from beautiful chocolates, fresh fruit, strawberries dipped in Belgian chocolate.
Hello.
We use lovely champagnes and even beers for the blokes. So it's
so chauvinistic.
It's a very unique floral experience and something that people always remember, which is pretty nice.
Okay, so I go ahead, I'm on the website, I order the luxury Moe Bloom, which is a lovely
choice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's got just chocolate and champagne in a beautiful bucket, looks like a bouquet of roses. What happens once I place that order?
Well, the thing that we work really hard to convey to our customers is that we make everything fresh by hand. So all of our team members at Edible Blooms are trained florists. So they actually make the bouquets much as a florist would, made to order. And then they're wrapped very carefully. The beautiful gift card message that people choose is attached. And then we deliver. So we deliver anything from same day in all major cities to next business day all over Australia and New Zealand as well. So we even do same day delivery in Auckland, New Zealand. So it's a pretty seamless service. It is literally so easy to use, but it is a handmade gift that's made especially for you. We have a new feature on our site which allows customers to customise ribbons. So if you were sending that to your wife for her birthday, you could actually say happy, if it was her 30th birthday or whatever it was, you can actually put you can put all those information. So you can really personalise the gift for them, which is, I think, pretty special. I
was looking for the younger woman. It never quite eventuated. So it's just 3 months younger than I am. But hey, young at heart. So,
yeah, that's right.
So, because it's a very remote business. You live in a beautiful part of South Australia, from what I understand. You have about 60 staff, correct me if I'm wrong, all over the country?
We have just over 50 staff all around Australia and New Zealand. And
are they working from home, or you have little kind of assembly lines in each city?
Yeah, no, we have actual production facilities in every capital city because we have commercial food grade premises, because everything is made fresh to order, and we do use fresh produce as well.
Yeah.
So we work out of 7 locations, and I work from my home office half the week. I have young children, and I work from our Adelaide office, or sometimes I'm interstate visiting our different store locations. So, but as a working mum, I try and have a flexible work week, which doesn't mean I work any less. I work still very hard, but I work where it suits me so I can be around my family as much as I can.
So what's that look like for those? I know there's a lot of working mums who listen to this show. What does that look like for you? Is it mayhem? Are you running to check an email in between? How old are your kids?
I have a 5-year-old and a 2.5.
Oh, okay, so are you running around kind of cleaning up, then going to check an email and then this and that, or do you actually are quite brutal in the way you allocate your time?
I'm pretty organised, actually. I did try to do everything in the early days when I was a mum. I thought I could have it all and be that amazing mum and run my business. And what I worked out is that you can have it all, but just not all at once. So if you still want to maintain your career and run a family in the way that you kind of your own mother did, and you want to do the same, you really have to have a lot of support around you. So one thing that I did, which I think is really important for mums to actually say it's okay to have help, and that help is in different levels for everybody. But for me, I have a full-time nanny that comes to the house, and she's here every day, because it means that if I've got an early meeting in the city, I can literally leave and the children can be in their pyjamas, and I know that my son will still get to school. And my little girl will have a great day at home and do lots of activities. So, and then the days that I'm working from my home office, I have an office upstairs. So I'm sort of away from everything, because I wouldn't be productive if I was trying to work with Elizabeth and our lovely nanny Mel all around me. So I'm in a separate space, but I go down, I have lunch with them. I'll go down and have a cup of tea and see what they're up to. And so I feel, and I'll do pick up from school with my son those days that I'm working from home, and I've dropped him off this morning before I'm chatting with you.
So you're connected. You are connected at both levels. You're connected to the business, connected to the family, and that's important. I like that saying, you can't have it all. You can have it all, but just not all at once, that.
Yeah, and you just need to be okay about asking for help. I think it's really important. And also, I have an amazing husband who is very helpful, and we're very equal parents. We both do a lot for the children. So, and I think that that modern role of parenting, my children are going to have the greatest relationship with their father, because they see him every day, and he probably sees them almost more than I do some days. So
he's part of Edible Blooms, and so is your sister. Is that right?
That's correct.
How's that work?
My sister joined the business soon after it started, so she's been on board for over 10 years now.
Wow.
And my husband joined the business 3.5 years ago, so he had a big corporate role. He managed offices all over Asia Pacific for a big listed company, but when we had children, we were both on the plane a lot, and we decided that wasn't the right balance for our family life. So he quit his career, and we did a new startup that he's running called Green Thumb Gifts, which is a plant delivery business. So instead of cut flowers, we send living plants that last. So we say giving today and growing tomorrow. And on our farm here, we converted the old shearing shed into a nursery.
Love it.
So
love a good tax deduction.
We ship Australia-wide from our farm here every day. So that's been a lovely complement to the Edible Blooms brand, and something that we're really excited about continuing to grow too.
Wrap some numbers around where you're at, Kelly. Go as hard as you like, but in terms of, you've said just over 50 staff. You're in most cities around Australia with a production facility. What about turnover? I know Tony Nash from Booktopia said he makes a book sale every 8 seconds. Give us a sense of size.
Well, at our busy times, we send over 1,000 gifts a day around Australia. So we don't sort of talk revenue numbers because we're a privately owned company, but
just do it today. Make an exception. There's no one listening, like it's you and I.
No one's listening. No. But we're still 10 years on. We're still seeing some really strong growth. So this year we're sort of close to 20% growth on last year, which is pretty good. And I guess for us moving forward, where we're heading is we're going to the UK market later this year. So we'll be opening an Edible Blooms presence in London.
Nice.
And we are terribly excited about that opportunity.
They'd love all that stuff, those poms.
Yeah,
wouldn't they?
Yeah.
The big bouquets of Lindt chocolates or whatever they are, they'd be beside themselves.
Well, they do love chocolate in that market. And the reason we've chosen London, because we've been in New Zealand since 2008, and that's been a really great experience for us.
I hear if it works in New Zealand, it works anywhere. Is that true?
I don't know. I hope so, because our New Zealand office is doing extremely well.
There you go.
So the UK market is... both my sister and I did working holidays there when we were in our 20s, like most young Australians, and loved our experience there. And we feel like it's a very similar cultural fit to Australia, but also they absolutely love chocolate in the UK. So chocolate is our best-selling part of our range. So we are very optimistic about the opportunity there. There's a huge market. It's very close together. So one of the big challenges we have in Australia is we ship perishable items in a very hot country that's very spread out, and we do it very well. So we do buy ice packs by the pallet load over summer months in Australia.
Wow.
But in the UK market, all of those challenges become very manageable and quite simple for us. So the opportunity to do business there is very exciting.
Yeah, love that. Well, it'd be like just working in a big fridge over in London, wouldn't it?
Perfect. I know.
Hey, okay, let's talk a bit about marketing because we kind of touched on it earlier on.
Yes.
What you're doing with the email list and building that. I think that's an absolute pro tip. I look at your website, Kelly, edibleblooms.com.au, and there's a lot of work being put into this. It is the user interface, the usability, the ease of getting around, the reduction of fear through some of the information that you give away right up
Yes.
front, like fast delivery and 100% Australian owned and guarantees. It's clever. Can you share with us, because there's a lot of business owners listening who are completely frustrated by their website, what's your top 3 pro tips for a great website that actually produces a result?
The number one tip is really good imagery. So I think, particularly with the explosion of social media, we've always had professional photographs of our products, but we're really doing a lot of new things around photography. The second tip that leads on to is video, and this is something that we are our current tip of what we're working on to update our site is putting more video experiences around how we do what we do. And so I would encourage that visual, because if people feel comfortable and they feel like what they see is what they're going to get, is a really important part of trading online.
What is a video experience, before you give us number 3?
Sorry?
What is a video experience?
It can be so many different things. Sometimes it can be, I've seen great in service industries talking about the people behind the brand.
Yeah.
People feel comfortable if they know that there are real people there. So it's, I guess, identifying what the barriers to signing up or the barriers to entry might be for somebody, or barriers to purchase, what that is, and how you can actually make customers feel comfortable doing business with you. So, and I guess the third thing, what we've touched on, and it leads on to that, it's those trust icons. So we have seen a lot of online retailers have a lot of success with using trust icons. So working out what are the things that you do that are really important to your customers and making that easy for them to see when they land on your homepage, because trust is a really important part of handing over either your email address or making a purchase. People need to feel really comfortable in building a relationship with you, because that's what they're doing when they make a purchase.
I don't think enough business owners get that at that point. Like, trust is everything. If a prospect establishes trust with a business, then that prospect, I would argue, is less price sensitive, is now emotionally engaged with that business, and is less likely to look elsewhere. And I got to say, there's never been a better time to market a business, because gaining trust through creating, as you say, video, social media, podcasting, self-publishing, all these things, I talk about it in my book, The Boomerang Effect, are now absolutely upon the small business owner to embrace.
Yeah, totally. And I think people need to also realise, if you've got an existing offline business and you want to put it online, you need to put the same amount of effort into that online store that you would if you were opening a second physical location. You have to continually update the site. If you're getting some great feedback from your customers, some testimonials, check with your customers if you can use them and put them up on your website. That's a really great way of gaining trust with your customers. So on our website, I think we've got about 1,500 testimonials from customers. We update them every day because we do get great feedback from our customers every day. So we share it. So online should be a place that you share everything you can about your business, and you spend a lot of time updating the content, because that will make a huge difference to not only your customers visiting the site, but also for Google helping to identify how strong your site should be in their rankings.
Where do you put those testimonials, Kelly?
So we always have one on the top banner, so that changes frequently. So we have a current testimonial on our top banner. We also have a whole page, or every product, we have customer reviews. So if you go into a product on our site, you'll see there's a star rating, and there's a lot of customer reviews there. And then at the bottom of the page, we also have a customer testimonial page, which has all of our feedback on there.
I love the idea of putting a real testimonial, and I mean real because I think sometimes they're not, a real testimonial alongside an actual product that person who's left the testimonials bought. It just kind of makes very strategic sense to me there.
Yeah, look, it does. And it's funny, I look at marketing, Tim, and I think it's common sense. There's nothing about marketing that's rocket science.
Hallelujah.
The key to marketing is actually just getting it done and writing a list and just ticking them off as you go.
Absolutely music to my ears, Kelly. It's not rocket science. It's and it should be fun. And my wish for all my listeners is that it actually becomes a hobby, because marketing is the thing that we can all do to grow our business. And, you know, if you don't enjoy it, then I think you've got a problem with your business, because it's a bit like telling people about your child, you know, look at my beautiful girl, isn't she beautiful? You know, like same with your business and your marketing. Hey, customer experience. Can we get a little bit woo-woo? I'm going to guess you and your sister are right into offering an amazing customer experience. Is there any particular, given you are online, given it is, you know, there's not a lot of moments of physical touch, like in terms of maybe there's a call centre that people can talk to an Edible Blooms person, but are there moments along the customer experience journey that are wonderful?
Look, they are. We actively want feedback from our customers. We want to hear if they've had a great experience, and even more importantly, if something's gone wrong, we want to hear from them on those occasions more than anything, because we have a commitment to making sure that if something does go wrong, we fix it and we turn that experience around. So, and we actually find any issues that we have with our business, they become lifelong customers because we do fix the problems for them, and they like a company that's real and that's there. Because something, you know, it's impossible for everything to be perfect all the time, but to have a company that stands behind their product is really important, and we certainly do that. So 2 days after we send every Edible Bloom, we email our customers just with a simple rate us out of 10, how did we go? And they have the opportunity to write a little bit of feedback if they want as well. But those scores, we actually look at every single score that comes through. We get 1 in every 4 customers actually completes that survey, which is pretty high.
That is high.
Yeah, it is. And
why would that be? Are you giving them a 10% discount, or why?
No, we just make it really easy for them to do it. So they just have to click a score out of 10, and if they want to write a note, they can. They just press send. So I think the key to getting feedback is not asking for too much feedback. When I don't give feedback to a company, it's because they give me a 10-page survey, and I'm not interested in filling out a 10-page.
Yeah. What's that about?
Yeah, so you've got to keep it really simple, because you actually do want to hear from customers, and it really helps us. We actually are one of those nerdy companies that when we get feedback about improving something, we actually do it. Nice. So I think that's the other thing, is listening to customers, and if they're giving you feedback about something, actually do something about it. And that's, I think, how over time our customer experience has just gotten better and better. As the company's grown. I
interviewed a fellow only about 5 episodes ago, Kelly, his name's Jay Bayer, and he's written a book called Hug Your Haters. And the premise is, you know, embrace that, you know, like make it easy for people to feed back to you. And we do the NPS scoring, which probably is a whole new interview, the Net Promoter Score. So we score each of our locations every month, get a score out of 100. And we do a blended national score every month, and it's it's our leading KPI for the business. Nice.
So we get a score of 82, which, if anyone knows NPS scoring, that's pretty high. In our category, a high score is considered 58. So ours being 82 is exceptional.
Totally exceptional. Talk to me about social media. Is it something that you guys really embrace, or is it kind of secondary to your marketing?
We do embrace social media. We are right in there behind it, but we were a bit slow to get on social media, and that was, from my perspective, I'm personally not a big lover of social media.
Why?
I think that comes back to being a working mum for me. I know a lot of mums love being on social media, but for me, I am so switched on to my business 24 hours a day.
Good on you.
It's a whole other channel that I need to manage.
Distraction.
Yeah. And also I find that social media sometimes can be a negative influencer on the way that you decide to do things. So I try and I'm certainly connected to social media. I do participate, but not as actively as people would anticipate, and that comes from a personal preference of having some personal time away from the business.
That's interesting. You and I are similar, because I feel as the marketing guy for small business that I should be all over social media, but I'm also a father of 3 teenagers.
Yeah.
And I have a very I hate at that level. I hate social media. I hate and don't. I'm not. I'll get on. My listeners have heard me get on my soapbox previously, so I won't do it now. But it's a distraction and it takes them out of the real world. But as a marketing guy, I go, it's pretty amazing that you can have these real-time conversations and engagement with your customers.
Yeah.
And I don't know where to sit. I've made it. I'm on a bit of a social media detox at the moment, but it's so nice to hear you say that as well.
Yeah, look, like the connectivity to customers is amazing. And look, as a brand, you'll see that we're fairly active in social media. And I sort of oversee the strategy, but it's not something that I spend all my day on, which a lot of business owners do. And I think if I did do that, it would be a very positive thing for our brand. But as a choice, I do some of it, but I'm not as engaged as a lot of other business owners are in those channels. So, and that's just a personal choice. I feel I've only got so many hours in the day, and I find when I engage in social media, it takes too much of my time and I'm distracted. I'm not on the strategic growth of the business. I'm not working with my actual team and my customers. So that's the interaction I prioritise above social media.
Here's an acid test. Does your 5 and 2-year-old children have iPads?
My 5-year-old and 2.5-year-old are allowed to have them on weekends.
Oh, it started. It's all downhill from there.
They and look, they don't use that a lot actually. They're compared to other children, I would say they're probably lower users. But and actually, one of the things I noticed with my 5-year-old is he was seeing videos that I didn't want him to see using the iPad.
Yep.
So we got him a DS so that he could when he had game time, when he had his screen time, we didn't have to supervise to make sure he wasn't seeing the type of content we didn't want him to be observing. So I think it's something as a parent you have to be highly aware of.
Hey, a question. It might end up being a tip, but I just noticed on your homepage of Edible Blooms, the header, you've got links to all 5 social media channels. YouTube's not there, but when I click on Facebook and Twitter, I go to your Facebook and your Twitter, but when I click on Instagram, Google Plus and Pinterest, I just go to the home page of those 3 channels. Is that a mistake, or is there some strategic...
You have actually identified something that I'll be following up today.
Oh, here we go. Where do I send the invoice?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Good.
Actually, Google Plus is something we're going to take off of our homepage shortly.
I think you're the last one.
Yeah. So that one actually, I think it's popped back on. It wasn't actually there a week or 2 ago. And this is the problem with web updates, and you've got to constantly keep on top of your web page because when there's a refresh of software or something like that, sometimes old things can pop back up. So you've got to keep a really close eye on it. So
and tell me the thinking. I'm of the thought that if you are promoting your social media channels and in your header, which therefore will appear on every single page of Edible Blooms, you are encouraging people to leave your website, and within 3 or 5 seconds they'll be watching cats fall off ladders, on social media. Is there again some thinking to have social media so prominent?
Yeah, look, we find it's a great engagement piece as far as people sharing our brand with other with their friends and networks, and that's why we've kept it on our homepage. But we did take it off for a little while because we did find it a distraction. We did some split testing, but it's gone back on again because we find that it's actually really important to encourage people to talk about our brand. We love seeing what people are saying about us in social media, so we want to encourage that conversation, and that's why it's there at the moment. But that doesn't mean it'll be there forever. So we'll continually review that. So it's one of those things that we keep a close eye on.
Could I start a business like this today and have some success, or is it too late?
It's interesting. A lot of people have copied us, and they haven't. And look, we love people copying us because it increases awareness of what we do in our niche area. So competitors are good for business, but it's actually quite a complex business to set up and be successful in. So what we've observed, a lot of people starting up and moving on. But look, I think online retail is probably in some ways easier to start up, but it's much more expensive to enter the market now as an online retailer than it was even 2 years ago, because things like Google AdWords that used to be really, it was an even playing field for all brands, big or small. Google AdWords is becoming very expensive, highly competitive, and you have to have a fairly deep pocket to play in that game.
The days of the cheap click are gone.
They totally have. So, and even social media, I think that's changing too. Facebook have changed their algorithms, and I think it's much harder for small brands to compete on those channels without deep pockets. So it's interesting. There's always something new you can try. There's always a new channel that you can gain momentum. But I think it is very expensive to build a big customer base in today's environment. You can definitely do it, but it's you definitely need some pretty deep pockets.
Kelly, love the Edible Bloom story. I get why it's a bit of a media darling. It is, and may you have wonderful success in heading over to the UK with it. If people want to find or send someone something, edibleblooms.com.au is how to do it. Can they contact you, Kelly? You're probably not on Twitter.
I am on Twitter, actually. I'm at Baker-Jams, my handle, and you can also find me on LinkedIn. I do. I spend probably LinkedIn's the channel I would spend the most time on. So if I'd encourage people to connect with me on LinkedIn. And
you've got an excellent LinkedIn profile. So listeners, if you want to kind of see how to really nail LinkedIn, have a look at Kelly's profile on there. I'll put a link in the show notes too.
That is very kind of you, because I don't consider myself to be social media savvy. But
you're rocking it.
LinkedIn, I've had a few tips. So yeah, I love people to connect with me there.
Baker-Jamieson, thanks for sharing.
Oh, thanks for having me, Tim. It's been great. Thank you.
Well, there you go, team. That was Kelly Baker-Jamieson of Edible Blooms. What a giving lady with a giving business. And she has offered us a 10% off coupon code. It's uppercase, the word thank you, all one word. Go over to edibleblooms.com.au and use it. I used it a couple of times last week, sent a couple of edible blooms to people, and you don't reckon they appreciated it. Oh, my God. OMG. Now, my top 3 attention grabbers, thanks to the good folk at Net Registry who get your online marketing sorted, and Audible. Grab a free audio book over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. Attention grabber number 1, build that email list. If you don't know what to give away in exchange for an email address, then I suggest you join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum over at crankmymarketing.com, and I will help you figure that out. But it's such a marketing asset to build that email list. I've talked about it before, and I'll talk about it again. Kelly suggests you do it. What else do you need to be told? So you got to do that one. Number 2, website pro tips from Kelly. Have great imagery, include video experiences, add trust icons. This is not just for online businesses. This is for any business. These are great website tips for any business with a website. And is there a business these days without one? Marketing attention grabber number 3. Marketing isn't rocket science, hey? That grabbed my attention because it's not. And as I've said before, my wish for you all is that marketing becomes a hobby, that you enjoy it, that time disappears, that you're willing to throw a few dollars at it to make it work. That's what you do when something's a hobby. It's not rocket science. It should be fun. And when you get it right, it will grow your business. Couple of quotes from Kelly. Competitors are good for business. Love that. You can have it all at once, just not all at once. No, what did she say? You can have it all, just not all at once. I like that. My past guests recently have all been full of quotes. It's good, isn't it? Hey, what was your biggest takeaway? Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/305 and leave a comment. Past guest and Moz founder Rand Fishkin once said, "The trend of design towards simplicity and accessibility in software happened for a reason. Simple sells, simple is usable, and simple scales." I do love that quote. I know it applies to software, but simplicity applies to all parts of your business. Customer service, copywriting, design, everything. Keep it simple. It's not easy being simple. Hey, I've got a great listener question. It's a Facebook question, social media. And it comes from Ken Lloyd of soundwavesnb.com. He gives me a bit of a rap on iTunes as a listener review, 5-star review. Thanks, Ken. And then goes on to ask a question. He says, Timbo, I am a musician and my income is made through instrumental tuition and performance. Half your luck. I do want to be able to play an instrument one day. One day. I started a Facebook page for my tuition business and a separate one for a band that I front. Oh, I'm already seeing the problem. 2 Facebook pages. My problem is that when I use a page other than my personal page posts get very little traction without paying. Yeah, well, that's how Facebook make money, Ken, I'm afraid to say. So it is difficult to build a following. My personal page has a lot more people on it, and therefore things are seen and shared more easily. Lately, I've been using my personal page more often than not, as the band and tuition really is about me. Also, running 2 separate pages is a lot of work. What do you reckon, Timbo? And that is from Ken Lloyd. Now, Ken, I have deferred the answering of this question to long-time friend of this show. In fact, he was the original co-host of the show, Luke Moulton. He's a Facebook expert. His website's over at plankton.com.au. That's his business. And here's what he had to say.
Ken, firstly, I understand your quandary. You've got 2 pages that you're running for your business. One's for your tuition and the other one's for your band. And I can certainly understand that there's a lot of work in maintaining 2. And particularly if you do want to start boosting posts, you're probably going to be trying to split your budget over 2 pages as well, which as a small business is a bit onerous. So I would certainly suggest that you try and combine the two Facebook business pages into one, so that you're just putting your efforts into one, and certainly make it about yourself and your band and your tuition all in one. And I kind of think that certainly having your band info in there kind of gives you some good reputation as a teacher as well. So I think it kind of reinforces the fact that you'd be great as a tutor for your music lessons. One problem with posting to your personal profile page is that you can't boost posts, whilst your family and friends will see that and invariably share it. You can't actually then go and try and promote posts, for example, to people who within your geographic location who might be interested in guitar, for example. But what I would suggest you do is that you share, be choosy about the stuff that you share to your personal page and your business page. You can duplicate the content. I know Tim does this as well. He shares stuff to his personal profile as well as SBBM. So you can do that, and you can use tools such as Buffer app or buffer.com, whereby you can actually just share it once and it will share it to multiple platforms or multiple pages, not just Facebook, but Twitter and LinkedIn as well. There you go, mate. I hope that's of help, Ken, and best of luck.
Thank you, Lukey. Great answer. I knew I could rely on you. Hey, listeners, go over to iTunes, leave a listener review, leave your website or business name and a marketing question, and I'll tackle it in an upcoming show. Hey team, this is a bit of a stop press because it has just been confirmed that I am going to be taking another tour of motivated business owners to the Philippines this June. The dates are June 13 to 15, 2016. And basically, it is for you if you want to find more time to spend working on your business and not in it. It's for you if you want to reduce your labour costs, if you want to save some money that you can reinvest into your business by outsourcing to the Philippines. What we do, we land in Manila, we spend a couple of days looking around at all the outsourcing options with David Warren, a past guest of this show, who has absolutely nailed it for his business, the concept of outsourcing to the Philippines, and now he wants to share it with you, the motivated business owner. As I said, 2 days in Manila, then we go down to Clark, look at some more outsourcing options, and it's a blast. Did it last year. There's some listeners to this show that came along and their business has never been the same since. They are just loving what outsourcing to the Philippines has done for them. So more on it next week. I'm going to host a webinar with David, so save this date. You ready? April 27, 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, when we will answer all your questions and explore exactly what it means for you to go to do this outsourcing tour to the Philippines and whether it's right for you. Again, the dates for the actual tour, June 13 to 15, 2016. The webinar, April 27, 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to find out more, if you can't wait, that's okay. You can email me. There you go. tim@timreid.com.au. You're going to love it. Well, hopefully see you in the Philippines. Okay, team, plenty of marketing gold coming your way in the weeks ahead. Next week, you and we're joined by TV star turned entrepreneur, Jules Lund. Jules, he's tipped $250K of his own money into a new business called Tribe. He's raised a whole lot more, and it's all about helping social influencers connect with big and small brands. Quite interesting, the whole concept of social influencers. I think you'll be opened to a new way of marketing next week. Hey, thanks to Daryl Misson for editing this show week in, week out. Hey, what did the editor tell his kid when he brought home a bad grade? No gain, no pain. Yeah, sort of a dad joke, probably only understood by editors. That's okay. Daz is laughing right now. And to Lockie Doley for making my bed. I mean, sound bed, you know what I mean. The sound bed for this show. He wouldn't make my bed. He's just a musician extraordinaire, old Lock. And you can check him out at lockiedoley.com. Hey, if you want to surround yourself with other motivated business owners, then join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum over at crankmymarketing.com. 30-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee, and you just might improve your marketing. Imagine that. Hey, you need a speaker for an upcoming event? timreid.com.au is where you will find bits and bobs about me and how I can add value to an upcoming conference. Maybe you're a member of a Chamber of Commerce. Hey, there you go. Invite me. Big hugs to Net Registry and Audible for making this show possible. Grab a free audio book over at audibletrial.com/SBBM and get your online marketing sorted over at netregistry.com.au. Until next week, I'm Timbo Reid, always have been, always will be. Thanks for listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.